Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Kingdom Wars. Today we're going to talk about the MK Ultra sleeper cell and the spiritual equivalent of that, the ultimate demonic undercover agent who many of them are loose in this world spreading chaos. We'll talk about the physical manifestation of the MK Ultra program briefly. We'll talk about what a sleeper cell is in the natural world, and then we'll discuss what a sleeper cell super undercover agent in the spirit realm looks like. We'll discuss how they're made, what they're capable of, and you'll see exactly how terrifying this persona or this archetype is of the sleeper cell agent that's working for the kingdom of darkness. And hopefully you can spot them, or at least once you see one, you won't fall into any future traps that involve them. But before we get into that, I want to thank all of you who support this channel financially. Thank you also for your thumbs up, your kind comments, and your subscription. But those of you who fund this channel, you know this channel is exclusively funded by viewers. And I want to thank all of you who supported me in the month of April. I was able to kind of dig out of a hole that took all winter to dig. I got out of a financial hole, got caught up on my bills, and I had just enough left over that I was able to actually repair a faucet in the bathroom and replace a faucet in the bathroom sink that was so corroded from the well water that nothing was holding it on. You could just like pick it up and carry it around the sink there. It was completely coming apart. I'm shocked it was still working, but I definitely needed to replace that. And it feels so good to walk in the bathroom and see a functioning bathroom sink. So I have simple needs, and it doesn't take much to support the channel here. So thank all of you who do that, and please consider becoming a supporter if you appreciate the content on this channel. Okay, so some of you, as we talk about this archetype, this spiritual archetype, which I call the MK Ultra sleeper cell, you may think that this is the same archetype as the spy versus spy from a few episodes back, but there are some elements about it that make it very, very different and much more terrifying. If you want to know the truth, this may be the most terrifying demonic archetype that you could encounter in your life, and if you ever encounter one, yeah, you'll never forget it. I promise you that. So what is an MK Ultra sleeper cell in the natural world? Remember, this series is about how we're comparing natural warfare, natural earthly war to spiritual warfare and spirit war. And we're identifying some of the players, whether they be special forces, like we talked about last time, or whether they be the spy versus spy. And there's a lot about the MK Ultra sleeper cell archetype that is like the spy versus spy, but there's some very big differences too. And you need to be aware of this. So first of all, in the natural world, what is an MK Ultra sleeper cell? MK Ultra refers to a government program that was top secret, and it got exposed. And it supposedly was shut down by the government because it was seen as inhumane and unethical. But most of us in the conspiracy theory world believe that it just changed names and kept on going under a different cover, and that the research from 60 years ago was so powerful that it was adopted into our military intelligence, and even you know, corporate entities have also started using this sort of method to create the ultimate undercover spy. So the MK Ultra program, and many of you have found this channel from my viral video, How I Met an MK Ultra Trainer, the long version. And in that story, a person named Folly, who I knew under a different name, I knew her by her actual legal name, that she revealed to me that she'd been part of this brainwashing program, and had actually been one of the people who was not only brainwashed herself, but had engaged in brainwashing against multiple other people to create the ultimate undercover agent. So under MK Ultra programming in the natural world, they'll take someone, and it can go one of two ways. They'll either take someone who's already a highly trained warrior, a highly trained assassin, and then they will split their personality. They will break down their personality through psychedelic drugs, torture, and repeated brainwashing and the use of extreme pain and sensory deprivation to cause the personality to actually break. And once they have the psychotic break, they split the personality into two personas. And one is who they naturally are, a highly trained military expert, dangerous person. And the split then will create Joe the plumber, this nice guy next door that no one ever suspected. You know, the person that was a husband and a father and had all these family ties and everything, and you would never suspect, right? That in reality they were a highly trained assassin, and that this type of structuring can create a spy that is unbreakable under torture and will pass any manner of lie detecting tests. That they really do fully assume the persona of Joe the plumber, and nothing can convince them that they're not just this average Joe, this regular person. Now, there's another way, the opposite way to split that. Gets a little bit of a less effective assassin, but it creates a much more bulletproof, so to speak, persona when it comes to torture and manipulation and to try to get the truth out of the person. And that's when you take an average, normal person, a Joe Plumber, right? And then you crack them through this MK Ultra training method until you split a personality type off that becomes the highly trained killer. And in that person, they have to do all of their training under this other persona, under this other personality. And when they're in that situation, then everything they learn is secretly hidden behind Joe the plumber. And the way these people are activated typically is a magic word, right? Someone calls them or walks up to them and says a particular phrase, which unlocks the post hypnotic suggestion, and the personality type flips. Either Joe the plumber realizes that on the weekends he's a highly trained assassin, right? Or you have this highly trained assassin, right, who then receives the code word and becomes Joe the plumber, and no one could ever think he wasn't. Right. Hey, if you're a plumber named Joe, I'm not picking on you. Right. It's just an example. So, what is that like then in the spirit realm? What is the spirit realm equivalent? We know a bit about this program. Like I said, I did a few videos on this type of programming in the natural world. What does that look like in the spirit realm? Well, in the video Spy versus Spy, we talked about people who are ravenous wolves who pretend to be angels of light. They'll insert themselves into situations and go undercover in a church or in a friend group, even in a family setting, and they will manipulate and tweak things from the inside out and cause chaos and mayhem in people's lives. Now, in a spy versus spy situation, the spy persona absolutely knows what they're doing. They don't fully believe their own cover. Like they are the bad person pretending to be the good person. But in the case of a sleeper cell persona, this is somebody who underwent a tremendous amount of childhood trauma. How do you naturally split and break down a personality and then introduce a demonic personality into this person that is so hidden that the person themselves isn't even aware of it? Well, and this is where MK Ultra in the natural got their idea from to begin with. That this happens kind of naturally to somebody who's been a victim of extreme childhood trauma. If they were subjected to torture and all forms of mind-numbing domination and oppression when they were very young, that this can cause MPD or multiple personality disorder. It can cause a person to splinter. And I believe, once again, not a doctor, I'm a spiritual leader. So I believe that is very much demonic possession. But it's a demonic possession where the host is completely unaware the demon even exists. This is what makes the sleeper cell demon so frightening, is that the person is probably a good person on the outside. They're not faking it. They could pass a lie detector test. They could convince anyone and everyone that they are who they say they are. They're a good person. They're a family man or woman. They take care of people. May go to church. They may be involved in church. They may be a spiritual leader themselves. But hidden deep inside of them is an unhealed childhood trauma that is so traumatic that they can't face it. They can't face it because it's too horrible. And so they create this personality where none of that ever happened. You see, the base personality in someone who is a natural sleeper cell for the demonic is somebody who made a decision early on that they were not going to heal this broken part of them. They couldn't face it. So they suppressed it to the point where they forgot it. But it isn't gone. And that part of them that is suppressed, the part of them that is inside of this box they created, is infested with the most vile demons. Every evil thing that happened to them, a demon was attached to it. It went into their spirit. And as an act of self-defense, rather than going through the difficult part of healing all of this and exorcising these demons one at a time that are attached to this trauma, they put the whole mess in a box and there it sits, right? And they can then have a normal life. But the problem with that is that's not gone. It's not healed. It's still there. There's an evil, demonic personality that wants to do everything that was done to them, they want to do to other people. It's there, it's laying dormant, and all it takes is that triggering phrase. All it takes is the devil putting his hand on his button and going, today we're going to utilize this secret resource, this hidden atrocities that are inside of this box, inside of this person. We're going to open this Pandora's box, and then this person is going to be everything in that moment that they hate. They're going to be everything that caused their pain is going to be manifested in that person in that moment. I think that that's at the root of some of these stories where someone does something so stunning and so horrifying and so criminal and so out of character that everyone around them is shocked. You've heard the news reports. He was such a nice person. I can't believe that they're talking about the same person. The person I know would never do something so horrible. Right? And so these are what happens when, it manifests in some kind of horrific violence. And the difference between that and a spy versus spy situation is that the spy knows they're two-faced. The spy knows they're an undercover agent of chaos. They get joy out of it. They've agreed with the devil on it. Where a person who is a sleeper cell for the enemy is completely unaware. Just like the MK Ultra persona, they could pass a lie detector test. You could torture them and they would still never reveal that they have this evil inside of them because they themselves are blind to it, because they did it to themselves. That's the agreement they made with the devil. Don't torture me anymore and I'll put you in this box without going through the necessary difficult time of healing. And I'm going to put you back over there, and the devil has an asterisk. He says, okay, but I get to pop out when it suits me. And this is a deal they make with the devil. A person who is a sleeper cell agent for the devil has made a deal with the devil, even if they don't remember doing it. They did it to try to save themselves. They did it out of desperation. They did it because they were trying to fix something in their spirit without God's help. They were trying to get some kind of resolution without angelic and godly divine help. This is what happens when you try to fix things yourself instead of surrendering to God. So it's very important, brothers and sisters, that you engage in the necessary steps of healing. If you have trauma in your life, these personas that I'm talking about, these strategies of the devil that are involved in the people around you that bring chaos to your life and the lives of others, these people had at one point the option to turn to God, to throw themselves on the mercy of God, beg for God's mercy and healing, and to do the necessary work to dredge up this brokenness and bring it into the light of the glory of God so that God can reach down and touch them and make them whole. And if they didn't, if they refused to do that, if you refuse to do that, then one of these horrible things could befall you. You could become an agent for the devil and not even realize it because you didn't do the hard work of healing your inner brokenness. I think many of the mass um, enders of lives. Hey, it seems to me that vehicles are now the new weapon of choice. If you've been watching the news, they've kind of gravitated away from the American rifle and went to the Detroit muscle for their meanness. There's a lot of these running over of people in public gatherings with vehicles. I think it's people that do stuff like that. It never fails. If you go to talk to their family, they're like, I don't know where this came from. You can talk to the person's spouse, and they're like, this is not the person I married. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. It's because they had created this other personality where the trauma never happened. They created this other version of themselves that never got molested, that never got beaten, that never got locked in a closet, that never got tortured, that never got belittled, right? The perfect version of them. And that's who they live, and that's who they believe they are. But inside of them is this Pandora's box of brokenness, this other personality that wishes to do to others the thing that was done to them, to get the ultimate revenge on humanity, to join the demonic in their desire to destroy human love and human compassion. And it's hidden inside of them in this box. And whether the devil just decides to send the magic signal to activate them someday, or they get triggered by some event, or maybe the lock on the box just gets rusted and these demons come pouring out. This hate comes pouring out. They become a different person. And in some extreme cases, especially when this manifests as MPD or multiple personality disorder, under extreme circumstances, these people can come out and do this and vent this demonic pain, right? And then put it all back in the box and go right back to the persona. And they themselves have no memory that it even happened. And this is not something that is uncommon. This is way more common than you know. And whether it's a person that only breaks out of the box once and does something awful, or whether it's a person that opens that box and vents it and then closes it again and forgets that it's there, right? Just because they didn't make headlines doesn't mean that this isn't happening. I recently saw a documentary put out by law enforcement that kind of focused on the truck drivers in America. And by one estimation, they claim that there are thousands of serial killers and rapists that drive trucks. And because of the transient nature of their life, they can commit these horrible crimes, get away with it, and just truck on down the road, pun intended, and escape any investigation because of the seemingly randomness of it, because of their transient lifestyle. And I think that in many cases, those people in question, right, that they're the CIA, not the CIA, the FBI has been doing a lot of work on trying to solve a lot of these unsolved crimes. I think that these people are exactly the persona I'm talking about. These people are sleeper cells for the enemy. They appear normal. They appear like your average, everyday Joe the plumber, Joe the truck driver, right? Susie the school teacher. It isn't just that profession. That's just one example of how much of this kind of criminal behavior happens, and people are completely unaware of it because they're getting away with it, right? Susie the school teacher, who seems like she just loves kids and takes care of everyone, until you find out she's been seducing junior high school boys for all 15 years of her career. And she has all of this chaos and destruction. She could be an undercover spy. One of the ways to tell the difference between an undercover spy and a sleeper cell, MK Ultra style sleeper cell agent for the enemy, is that a spy will get caught with micro expressions. I talked about this in the energy vampire video we did a while back. We did last week. How they'll tell you something in the persona, right? because they're faking, because they're acting. See, a spy acts. A sleeper cell agent isn't acting, right? They don't know who they really are, right? It's secret even to them. But a spy knows. So micro expressions will give them away. They'll say something and then they'll look up and go, you know, or they'll say something that should be tragic and you would never smile about, like talking about something that happened to somebody that they maybe had something to do with because of their manipulation, and they'll say, "Oh, it's just so horrible what happened to them." You see the micro expression, the quick little smug smile that, if you're paying attention, will let you know that this person doesn't have any empathy. They engineered this. And that's prevalent in a spy situation, but the MK Ultra sleeper cell persona never cracks, not even under pressure. You'll never get any warning from that kind of individual. And maybe if you're a person of extreme empathy, a person of highly tuned intuition, or someone who is being led by the Holy Spirit, then you might encounter somebody that for some reason you don't trust them. Everybody else trusts them, everybody else gives them a glowing report, but you sense the darkness in them. You don't know why. You start to think, hey, is it something wrong with me? But the intuition is so strong and the hair on the back of your neck is standing on end that you decide that you're going to distance yourself from this person just because you hate to not follow your gut. And there may be nothing logical. There may be nothing logical to warrant you distrusting this person other than a gut feeling, your intuition, the Holy Spirit whispering in your ear. Steer clear of this person. That's a great indicator that they are not just a spy, but they may be the dreaded sleeper cell enemy. And, it isn't just physical criminal things that people like this will do when they open that Pandora's box of unhealed demonic energy. But they will do that and then really hurt somebody's feelings. Like just injure them emotionally, right? In private. And then deny ever doing it. And tell them that these people are lying on me. And they could pass a lie detector test because they opened the box, hurt the person, put the hurt back in the box, put it back in, and then forget they ever did it. They literally don't know that they just cut somebody to the core emotionally. And serial cheaters are often this same kind of sleeper cell. They can pass a lie detector test on their infidelity because it wasn't them that did it. It was this other persona that they keep locked in the box. And that person only knows about that while it's out. When they put it back in the box, it's self-hypnosis. It's the same thing that suppressed memories are based on. So tell me what you think in the comment section. Have you heard of this kind of persona? Have you encountered someone like this? Give me any real-world examples. I honestly think that both of the people that tried to assassinate our president recently, while he was on the campaign trail, I'm pretty sure both of those were some form of an MK Ultra sleeper cell, whether engineered by a government or corporate entity, or they were born out of it naturally and just under the control of the evil one. But tell me what you think in the comments section. Share any stories you have. Please don't forget to support this channel that's funded by viewers like you. Without your kind donations, these videos stop happening. So thank you for keeping me on the air, and we'll see you next time on the Kingdom Wars.